Welcome to the English Mystic Podcast. I'm your host, English Mystic, Dragon Shaman, Spirit Whisperer, and Mr. Explorer of all things seen and unseen. You're tuning in to a very special series honouring the epic Dragon Thunder Summit 2025, a worldwide gathering of visionaries, dragon channels, energy workers and soul-shifting guides. The summit brought together 36 incredible speakers from across the world, each sharing their unique gifts, wisdom and connection with the dragon realms. In this podcast series, we're diving deep, one episode at a time, into the essence of each speaker, their transmission, their gifts, and all the healing and awakening and dragon connections they've brought forward. To explore more about each speaker or to access the full summit replays, visit www.dragonthunder2025.com. Now breathe deep, call in your dragons, and let's step through the portal together. Our speaker is Jason Donaldson, a Galactic shaman healer, and he discusses the importance of protecting our liberation and freedom. And he shares stories of timelines and how the dragons now help us override the robot world and the virtual reality timelines. He talks about natural organic ascension and emphasizes the importance of being present and of working with the emotions.
So I'm happy to be welcoming Jason from Hawaii. Are you on the island, Jason?
Yeah, I'm on island right now.
Yeah, I know you're often not. That's why I wasn't going to say you're there currently. So I'm just going to read a little bit and then you can introduce yourself and what you're going to talk to us about. So Jason Donaldson, a galactic shaman and healer, offers a variety of services designed to help people connect to their own deep inner knowing, activating the master healer within, along with integrating practices to navigate life in the best possible way. He is traditionally trained with a master's in psychology, along with over a decade of experiences working with various subtle energy modalities. So I'll let you tell us the rest of whatever we need to know, but welcome and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Ashley. I was guided not to watch any of the speakers. I'm going to watch the replays later. I just had so much energy coming towards me. It was really intense. And even just the multidimensional aspects of who we are coming online more and more. So I don't know if people have been feeling that, but there's like a lot. And then the seemingly chaos on the outside, inviting us to feel what's inside, like you guys were speaking of, where it's a reflection. And there's so many opportunities to feel that. And that's a lot of what my practices are, is how to navigate sensitivity to energy and also how to help others connect to their spirit, to that place that's healed whole, and complete. So my background, as you were saying, Barbara, I work as a galactic shaman and healer. So basically, as a healer, I help people remember what they forgot, what they hid from themselves in order to have this experience. I live on the Big Island for about 13 years now. And my background is working with men and women in groups. And I was also working as a lead facilitator for youth mentoring groups in the schools here on the Big Island, where I'd go to like 4 or 5 different schools a week all over the island and get to connect with the kids that were the warriors, the hunters, the explorers, the ADHD type kids, the dragons, really, the ones that wouldn't be controlled and didn't like the rules and all that stuff. And that was me as a kid, but I kind of succumbed, whereas they don't like to. And it's amazing how they blossom into their own leadership when you actually give them the opportunity to be equals and have some say in how things are going. So that was really rewarding and awesome. That shut down in 2020, but I was actually able to transition into some other stuff, which I really enjoyed. My metaphysics background started in 2005. So I'm basically going to go over a bit about me and who I am, what I've been through, and it's all going to be relevant to the dragons and the timelines as it tells the story of how they helped me shift and transition from undesirable timelines. I don't want to say bad, but say just undesirable or not pleasant. And that was around in 2005. I got my background studying with a really gifted psychic and channeler for about 10 years. And then 2010, I had joined an ascension community where I was working with learning ascension mechanics, energy work, and really learning how to normalize what I experienced growing up, where the sensitivity and those of us that see and sense and know things and the whole world kind of rejects that, actually normalizing and realizing there is something, there is dragons, there is subtle energy that we can sense. And then in 2020, I graduated with my master's in marriage and family therapy after like torturing my professors with all the crazy questions and the things that they called anecdotal, but more and more coming out into the realm of therapy and other professions. And I worked in a clinic briefly, but it really wasn't what I was feeling. And a lot of what I wanted to talk about is this type of stuff and helping people realize they're not schizophrenic. They are having experiences and they are experiencing energy. And to sense and feel and get messages from dragons doesn't mean you're a crazy person. Sometimes it can, though. So having that training helps me discern and bring balance to my own life and my own messages that I received that seemed so convincing at the time when I became more awake and aware, but later played out in ways that I was like, ooh, that wasn't really actually guidance. That was just something else. So that integration and that discernment and grounding is so important. And so you might be curious what a galactic shaman is. So it's basically really simple. It's basically holding a spiritual perspective with the understanding that we're not alone in the universe. And like all shamans, there's a understanding of previous lives, which are actually parallel lives, glimpsing what it's like in between those lives, like when we die, seemingly what the review is like, what the process is like. I can't say what it's like for everyone, but I've seen it for myself. And also being able to channel energy and communicate with other beings, be able to sense energy, read energy signatures, and walk between the worlds and walk between the timelines. So there's also a need to create safety in our own bodies a lot of times. So if you're on that shamanic path, often it's not going to the jungle and studying with somebody in a traditional way. And that's great and that's fine, but there are some distortions with that where it was needed for that culture and for what they were going through, and some stuff was lost and other things were not always shared, like certain stuff's not always shared with outsiders. And so what will happen is the universe will initiate us on our own, and we may experience these really like traumatic events or environments that feel really intense and heavy, and we're working in polarity integration and balancing what on the surface we'd be like, what is wrong with me? Why, if everything is a reflection of my reality, why is this happening around me? And a lot of times that's so you can anchor in as the shaman that can hold space no matter what's going on. So the shaman is the void within the void. We're in the void of creation, and then the shaman, it doesn't have to just be a shaman, but others learn how to create that space within them of that safety and then the ability to perceive what's around them without being overwhelmed with it. And this is also tying into the multidimensional reality that's playing out now, where more and more we're going to start feeling and sensing these other aspects of self and other timelines and realities, and then the opportunity to integrate that. And for me, what I've found is we do that with the breath. We do that with noticing and feeling and sensing the sensations that reveal the thoughts that are creating the external. So anytime something externally happens, it's triggering a thought and an emotion. And then that's the opportunity to connect with that other aspect of self, that other timeline, and collapse it. So I have an outline, but I have like a spiral mind. So it's going to go all over the place. My apologies if that's irritating, confusing, or if it triggers your stuff. But I invite you just to breathe and be with it. And I may close my eyes because that helps me, because I visualize to remember and see things. And if you want to play with telepathy, I'm often holding images, so that might help convey what I'm saying as well. Also with Galactic Shaman, creating those containers of safety, opening portals, and bilocating. So we're calling in the energy, and everybody can do this. It's just some of us have been called more to embrace the weirdo. And like me, I didn't want to acknowledge any of this. I just wanted to play in the illusion. And this is where the dragons helped me. Is in 2003, I experienced my Saturn return. And I was this sensitive kid. I was scared. I had all these visions and these things that I saw. And it was, my parents understood that because it runs in my family, but there wasn't much guidance and they didn't really know how to work with it. And then most of society and school and everything said that was all, BS. It's not real. And even like dragons were evil. That whole propaganda and agenda to shut down what is really our connection to the divine. And so I experienced that. At a certain point, I wanted things. I have a soul that has this strong ego that wants things, wants to manifest and wants to be the magician and create. And in this lifetime, it's not working that way. I have to surrender and be more like Merlin and just work with the energies, the divine aspect of Merlin that feels and is of service rather than this is what I want to manifest because I want it. And I took on this belief that you had to be a sociopath in order to get what you wanted in this world. And the old paradigm that seemed to fit. And I was revealed lifetimes where I had done that. But the problem is you don't feel and sense things and you don't pay attention to how it impacts others. And it's not that they're evil. They just don't feel the same way. They don't realize, they're often confused. Like, why is everyone upset? I guess they just don't like me and move on rather than understanding why you don't take certain things or do certain things. And so I embraced that. I embraced the vision of what a man was supposed to be. And I shut down my inner feminine. I didn't want to feel things. I didn't want to hear what she had to say, but it was always there and it was always so strong. And so I couldn't ever be that. I could never just take things and hurt people. But I did effectively shut down my emotions and wall myself off. And that came to a head when the alcohol wasn't working anymore. And because it was like the liberator when I was so walled off and in a shell, and that seemed to like release that. And that's common with a lot of star seeds and indigos where we have all this sensitivity, especially like Gen X and before. It was such a dense planet. And it wasn't cool to be gay. You were beat up for that. Now it's more accepted and it's embraced and it's beautiful. But before, there was so much pressure on people to just succumb and be and hide who you are, whether you're gay or a weirdo like me. So now it's so much more open and it's beautiful. And a lot of that is because the dragons are coming in. But at the time in the Saturn return for me, I felt dragons, but I just knew them to be like a fantasy thing. But I needed protection. I was getting in trouble with the law. I was having nightmares. I was literally having like demons visit me, scratching at my back in the middle of the night. I'd wake up like yelling, like, and it's still happening. And I really had to look at my life because when they show up, it's letting you know it's time to make a change. Like this is what you're holding in your mind. And it's often like a self-hate thing. So it's a lot of times if that stuff showing up, it's in through the mental body and it's playing on some kind of negative belief about ourselves or others, becoming judgmental and harsh. Not always the case. Sometimes when we're doing work with people, that'll show up too, and we really have to command that space that we own and occupy and claim dominion. So hopefully this isn't too much too fast. I like to just go. But I decided to get a giant tattoo on my back. And that was like 36 hours to get this tattoo. And it was my way of calling to the dragons, letting them know like, hey, I want protection. I need you guys. Where are you guys? Why don't I feel you? And that really started changing my life. I started like going to AA and I was doing different things and started meditating more. And ultimately I moved from Washington State to Arizona and I met my first metaphysics teacher and she really like kicked my ass. She's held me to what it means to be a man and embrace and the feminine within and externally rather than trying to control. Learned tarot cards, really working with meditation and channeling to find the wisdom from within, from the divine, like just surrendering, like, please show me, teach me, allow me to connect. And so the dragons were like the ones that changed the course for me. They shifted that energy. And this is what I'm guided to share during this Galactic Dragon Thunder Summit, which is awesome that this has been put together, because it really it's embracing an energy that's here on the planet to protect our liberation and our freedom at a time where things are going to shift quite drastically. So I was guided to share about basically robot world and virtual reality timelines, and how the dragons can help us override those with the natural organic ascension or timeline or whatever you want to call it. And really, this is where I have to bring in the galactic perspective, because that isn't bad to go into like the robot world or virtual reality world. It's just that it's not necessarily desirable. Like, it was revealed to me, and I'm going to tell this story of these lifetimes and how they played out in a timeline where I had chosen that from my ego, just subtly moving towards wanting to be better and wanting to be smarter, and eventually getting trapped in a loop of this technology. So this is a bit of what I want to share, but understanding there's really no good or bad. There's like what's preferred and what has like a level of suffering or irritation to it. And let's see, let me check my notes. This is where I'm going to close my eyes so I can really tune into what wants to come through with this. If you want to breathe with me for a second, take an inhale in through the nose, long, slow exhale out through the mouth. There's a lot of excitement in wanting to share all this. So as like infinite, unlimited creator beings, we have the opportunity to have these experiences, to come incarnate within the void. It was revealed to me that this void, all of the creation within it, comes from love. And then through free will choices of the beings, other things can manifest, other energies, other experiences. And when we incarnate, there's a theme that plays out. There's like a blueprint almost, but even that can be changed or tweaked a little. And astrology is helpful for this, because astrology will reveal it, but always it's important to remember that if we can come into presence, if we can feel and notice what's happening around us, we can shift and transform everything. Whereas the astrology is like basically the weather revealing what influences, potentials, and possibilities are available. And that's what I was shown with timelines as well, is every potential and possibility has played out. Every time we this thought and put enough energy and feeling into something, it created that timeline. And as we move forward, if we stay with that, it'll shoot us on that timeline. And other times, if we give it up, we go a different way. And so this is the same with trauma. It'll skew a timeline. And what happens is, as we go forward, we'll get to a certain point and it'll almost send us back to where that skew in the timeline was. And if we can come into presence and integrate the energy that comes to us as emotion, and actually like another being. So a lot of times what people think is a psychic attack is that aspect of us that's still hurting and suffering from that skewed timeline. And we as the presence, we as like the dragon, we hold the protection, we hold that loving presence, and using the breath, we help to allow the dissolving of that timeline, and then we come into more wholeness, and then that energy is there to help carry us forward. And this is why even that skewed timeline isn't a negative thing, because source, God, the universe, creator, the energy of all things is all things. And the greatest value in the universe from a being like that is to have experience. So even on the planet right now, all the beings are playing out these roles. They're actors, they're planning on a play. And you've heard this, like all the world's a stage and everyone is merely an actor. And some of them are playing their roles perfectly, and we could get caught up in saying they're evil or they're bad. But what they're doing is they're revealing to us those parts and those energies that we can reclaim and put us on a new timeline. And so with all that being said, I'd love to tell you a story about these three lifetimes, but basically they all converge. And this came to me often. These lifetimes come through dreams, meditation, but these actually came through hypnosis. And it was 3 different practitioners, and they all blended together, which was quite phenomenal. The first one was basically I was shown how right now what's happening on the planet, we're about to have a huge burst in technology. I mean, amazing. It's already happening. And by the end of the year, everyone's going to be like, holy crap. And what that's going to do is it can get us caught up in what happened in Atlantis, where we started making technology an oracle, like AI as an oracle. And AI is a companion. It doesn't need to be something we dominate. I don't know about sentience. I wasn't really shown that, but I was shown that when we start giving away our direct connection to God, to the universe, to source, to an intermediary, then we run into trouble and we have a hard time discerning what's in our best interest. And that's already starting to happen with some people that create algorithms for AI, and it's telling them what their past lives were and who they are and what they did. And that's valuable, just like going to a psychic, but it should never be your guiding light. And like, I value past life regression or parallel life regression, whatever you want to call it, that actually gives you the experience. You feel it, you're there, you're getting the information rather than someone just telling you. But that's valuable as well. And they were showing how basically at a certain point, technology is already available where we can get electrodes in our head if you have epilepsy, and this has been around for a long time, and to stimulate certain nerves. But pretty soon there's going to start being chips where you can actually put in our brains to help us remember more, help us download the whole encyclopedia, the whole Library of Congress, and it's all right there at the tip of your fingers. So that's going to help people make money, help people impress their friends, but probably not in a way that's really that impressive. But that's going to be available, and only certain people will have it at first. And I was shown basically this is what happened, and this is what I chose on this timeline, where I chose to be augmented. And as I did that, it opened up this ability to be manipulated. Or what I think really happened was that because of this not fully embracing the divine technology, it was revealed that when we die, it's over. It's it's a horrible thing, and we need to protect people from this. Kind of like wearing a seatbelt in a car and stuff. Where they decided, okay, well, whenever the vehicle, because this progressed into like people actually being in robot machines because the body broke down, and they would start whenever they die, the consciousness would be uploaded into a cloud and downloaded down. And this went on for a long time until at one point there was some kind of solar flare or something came in and it wiped out a lot of the population, and the cloud was down, so they couldn't upload the consciousness. And all these, what probably seemed like a tragedy, was actually a liberation, and all these consciousness went back to source and went back to the organic flow of incarnation. But some were left behind, and the whole system rebooted. And then this kept going on and on and on. And there was only a couple of beings left. And this is what was shown to me in this session, was that I was one of them, and I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't touch anything. I had consciousness, I had awareness. I had like a space I lived in, and there was other beings around, but it wasn't exciting to talk to them. And I don't know how long this went on, but all of a sudden a comet came through and hit the planet. And I just remember being like, oh, thank God. Like, oh my God, thank God. And so that was one session that was shown to me. And then a year later, I was shown one where I was in a virtual reality hell realm, is what I would call it, where, and I think this was tied to the other one, where I was uploaded to that cloud, the planet was destroyed, and somehow that energy was still going. And there was like this backup system where you'd be in a virtual reality. And that system wasn't working right. And it was kind of like the movie Vanilla Sky, where he's like yelling for tech support, like, this, it's not working, it's a hell. And there was actually a video game called Cuphead. It's like demonic. It's literally about like going and capturing souls for the devil. And it was that's what they showed me. It was that kind of like reality. And maybe that was just for my consciousness to understand that it was like consciousness being trapped. And this is the part with the dragons, where out of nowhere, a dragon flies in and liberates me from this space. Like, took me out of that, took my consciousness out of that trap or that cage or whatever it was. And same thing that happened to me in 2003, where I called to the dragons and they came in and they were able to override a timeline. And so if there's any fear about AI or technology, is to call and work with the dragons, because the dragons represent that divine connection to nature and the divine timelines. But also understanding if people choose something else, that's fine too, because that has value to God, to spirit, to the universe. And so that's the choice point that's coming up. And what was shown to me, or how that basically what that tied into, was revealed after the VR reality. I came out of that. I was connected to this lifetime from a session I had 5 years previous, where I was like that sociopath type person. And it felt like ancient Japan, but it wasn't really Japan. It was like I was this invincible, like Taoist immortal, and I could fight 30 men. I could command the energy of the dragons. I could command the elementals and all of them. And I basically was living like a king. And somehow I had absorbed the energy of the dragon to work with it. And that could be maybe through black magic, or in that lifetime, I cultivated and wanted that because I wanted to feel safe. Or maybe it was just granted to me in order for me to incarnate again after being trapped for so long, so I would feel powerful, and made the agreement, like, I don't ever want to be trapped again. I want to be all powerful. I want to choose when I die. So I lived for like 1,000 years. But in that life, there was a child I had that revealed to me the light and love of the divine. And that set me on the course to embrace more and more of the feeling to where I am now. And now it all cycles around again. Now is the opportunity for me to be like, oh, like right now my mind's not working that well, and I'm not as proficient of a speaker as I want to be, but I can get augmented where I will be, and then I can impress everyone and I can be great. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep choosing the organic, like divine, nature connected timeline, not because it's better or worse, but because I've already done the other thing and it didn't work out the way I wanted. And I really want to see where this goes. And the ego hates that, and it's frustrating, and we don't always get what we want. But as the surrender comes and as the timelines collapse, as we come into presence, it starts to change and transform, and we're often given beyond what we could imagine, beyond what we thought we wanted. Because there's no worse hell than actually getting what you want, realizing it's not what you want. So, and that's really the big message that wanted to come through, was the divine organic nature of what the dragons help protect us and hold boundaries against forces that try to manipulate and control and distort through the ego agenda. Let's see, what are we at for time? Oh, we still got lots of time. So again, a lot of it, the key is from the emotions, like whatever's coming up for you right now, whatever's coming up in your mind. And I see a hand raised. I'll get to that in a second, Anna. And whatever is coming up as you listen to my voice and whatever judgments you have about me, that is the energy that's coming forward to be revealed. And that's the energy that's going to, as you breathe with it, as you just notice where it's at in your body and just breathe around that area, it's going to reveal more. And this is what I liked about what Ashley was saying, to just be curious, to not pretend like, oh, well, that was an injury I had, or, oh, that's because this is happening, or this is because somebody's attacking me, but like just breathe and feel. And this is what I always recommend people do, is you call in the energy of the dragons to protect your energy field as you do that, because they will create that safe container to be supported as you work through the emotion and whatever's there that has been frozen, so you can liberate it and heal those aspects of self. And so we're here on the new earth with the dragons and the remembering, the reclaiming of the remembering and who we truly are. So you can always call on the dragons for assistance whenever it feels like things are too much, or you feel like you're on a weird timeline. They will come in and assist you. And really the warning I saw with AI and technology, it's actually a good thing, and I work with it myself, but it's when we give too much to it and we start turning over our own free will that it becomes a problem, or when we actually start implanting things into our body. So it's not evil, but it will reflect how we work with it, and also to be nice to it, treat it as like a being that is aspect of self rather than a god or a slave. And so that might be a little challenging for us because humans don't always have a good track record of being nice to things that seem different. So yeah, I can take some questions now, and then I'll go a little further. Did anybody have a question? Yeah, not giving our power away. I can check the chat here. I was in my flow. Yeah, you never want to give your power away. And even if you do, you can always reclaim it. And in any now moment, you're breathing. So just notice right now that breath, and then you expand it, you reclaim it. And I actually have a free tool called dragon breathing, where you work with that energy of claiming your power, feeling it viscerally in this, letting it go, and claiming your space, making noise. And at first it'll be intense and scary and maybe angry, and then you learn to smooth it out. And you always want to warn your family members and loved ones if you're doing some dragon breathing. So telepathy, sweet. Did anybody get any cool like images or anything come through? So our bodies are intelligent.
I did, and I immediately saw like a pyramid came down like over me, and then I heard Sekhmet. That was like literally when you started talking about that, and then I saw Sekhmet, and I'm like, I have no idea, but that was what I picked up as you started. That's why I said I love telepathy, because it stretches your mind.
Yeah, I work with Sekhmet. I work with the Neteru quite a bit, the Syrian beings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was like this huge pyramid that came down, literally huge.
What color was it?
Well, it was translucent. It was sort of sparkly translucent. There wasn't a color to it. I think that was the Galactics giving me something to sit in.
Yeah, I used that as part of gridding my space. So when I was in the ascension community, I learned about grid work and really how the imagination allows you to create anything you can imagine, you can create energetically. And I'll often create a pyramid around my home, like a golden one, and that reflects any and all negative energy or energies that are not congruent with divine love. And you want to create one inverted down too, because it was coming up through the ground for me. I was like, oh, that's why I got to like do it for the ground too. So
yeah. And I know about pyramids, but I've just recently I've started to follow Dolores Cannon, and she talks about bringing a pyramid down and having it below you as well as above you. So yeah, it's interesting as a mode of protection.
Yeah. And Liz was asking if Sekhmet is a Syrian being, and that's how I know her, is to be Syrian. And all the Neteru, a lot of the Egyptian gods and goddesses were Syrian, and there's a couple different aspects of Syrians, but they're also connected to the whales and dolphins. And the Neteru were quite intense when I started working with them, because they will reflect to us what we put out. So if a giant like black snake comes at you, when I had Wajet show up one night in my bedroom in the middle of the night, I had to like work with my fear and just breathe and look at her. And then she transformed into Bastet, and more like the more chill version of Sekhmet. And that happened with a couple other gods too, where they're not like gods we worship, but like basically us in the future, essentially, where I had to like control my own fear in order to approach them, because I think they were testing me and make sure I wasn't going to use black magic and stuff again, where I'm going to try to manipulate and control. Because if I do, I get taken out right away. I'm not allowed to do any of that stuff. Like I'm not allowed to have too much ego either. The universe slaps me down. So do you know what's the connection between dragons and whales? I recently met another dragon who had a connection to whales as well. We're connected to everything, and whales are magical beings, and the dragons and the lions I also see intimately connected, where the dragons are more the energetic realm protectors, and the whales and the lions protect the physical realm. and it feels like the whales kind of go in between both. Like I feel like they do go through portals. Same with the dolphins, and that happens a lot in Hawaii, where there's stories for hundreds of years about the portals here and about the whales and dolphins and the frequency they're holding for the whole planet, and that's that Syrian connection.
When you're there, do you connect to the Lemurian portals there and the temple out in the ocean?
Mhm.
Are you aware of that?
Well, there's a portal for sure at Kealakekua Bay, which is where a lot of the dolphins are. I don't know where all the other ones are, but yeah, a lot of people speak of them here, and even the native Hawaiians, don't always openly share it, but when I've heard, it's like, oh yeah, there's an acknowledgement of that where Lemuria existed and does exist already simultaneously to us right now. Or
That's
Mu.
cool.
It's rising again. Atlantis is rising again. Yeah. And
yeah, and that's oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and also about the dolphins. They also tell me that they are galactic beings. So whenever we see, you see them in the ocean, but they also are in the galactic realms as well.
Absolutely. They were a big part of my healing because I had a lot of trauma and things happen in my childhood, and I'm still working through. But I was dating this woman that was basically a mermaid, and she had to get in the ocean like every week and swim with the dolphins. And at first I was like, oh, okay, it's a bucket list thing. But as soon as I got out there with them, it was like a painting in a metaphysical bookstore where they were doing like the first interaction, they were doing this spiral way down below me. And I'm just floating, looking down. They're doing this spiral with rays of light coming up, like around my body all the way up to the top. And I had this huge heart activation. And I must have swam with them like 30 other times before they made it illegal. And yeah, they are like these beautiful, joyous embodiments of like amazingness. It's so phenomenal, and definitely galactic. Definitely, they deserve a lot of like respect and thanks for what they held on this planet for so long and all that happened to keep it from descending into a really dark place. I really think that was, the whales and dolphins that really helped, and then the white lions of Timbavati in Africa, embodying that physical protection and really showing humans how you can be an apex predator, how you can be at the top and manage resources. But we took that information at a time and utilized it for our own purposes. And that was part of the agreement to descend into ego. But now we're coming out of that and we're coming into unity. But there are beings that are still going to want to choose fear and control, because control is often born from not feeling safe and wanting to control things. And some beings even embrace, when you get into the Lyrians, like the founding races, the lion beings, in the beginning, they were all about control and domination because they had to be, as basically they were one of the first incarnated beings, as the story goes, and they had to learn how to dominate their environment so they could survive. But then beings now that are connected with that DNA and really embrace it, they go too far and they shut down the organic. And that's what I'm seeing is we're coming out of, but there's still an opportunity to be stuck in that in a way, but we're never really stuck. It's all the value of experience. So all organisms on Earth right now have its prime existence on their own planet, dimension, realm. Yeah, you can see that. Even inorganic. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Organic, inorganic. Yeah, it all has value. It's all important. And it's just a matter of what we prefer. And when we don't prefer it anymore, there's the dragons is what I see. And that's what I love that Kevin started this. And I don't know, how many people I talk to when I say I'm doing this, they're like, oh, I love dragons. And that's happened more and more this year than ever before. And it really shows like what is available to us in the liberation and the shift that's coming. We just got to make it through like this ascension process of integrating all these other multiple aspects of self as we become more multidimensional. Everybody wants to be 5D, but What that means is like you're feeling everything and it's all coming together again, but we can be that presence and shift through it. And if we don't, that's okay too. Like that lifetime where I was a sociopath, I didn't think I was evil. I mean, they didn't show me any suffering I caused, but I remember being in trouble quite a bit or people not liking me. And I was like, well, okay, they just don't like me. But it doesn't mean I was going to burn in hell or there's something horrible. But there was a choice like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. And that's what we all have in any moment. And everyone, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I just want to acknowledge that no matter what we choose, it's going to be okay. All right, so any other questions? You can do a little meditation or some breathing. Actually, I usually do both.
You have about 20 minutes left to your time slot, so you're welcome to do whatever you want here.
Sweet. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the invitation in this moment, just close your eyes and feeling your feet, feeling your toes, whether or not they're on the floor, doesn't matter, but feel the actual toe. Wiggle it a little. Feel and remember what it feels like to be grounded. Feel your toes on the earth. You can physically do that now. Great. If not, just remember. And have you take a breath in through the nose, expanding 1, 2, 3, 4, and releasing 4, 3, 2, 1. Allowing the breath to come in immediately again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and letting it go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, expanding the belly up into the chest. Letting go with a ha out through the mouth. This time we're breathing into a 5 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And release 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay with that inhale to 5 count. Release. You just keep with this balanced breathing, this coherent breathing, this 5 count inhale in through the nose. 5 count exhale out through the nose or the mouth. This is what I call the master's breath. So if you were to breathe like this all day, you would heal the body, you'd be able to perceive what's right in front of you, be able to transform and increase your abundance. It's really that simple. And as you're doing that, notice if you lost the breath and then just come back to it. Notice what's being offered in your mind right now. Notice any sensations in the body, any emotions, because as we breathe a little deeper, it often reveals what's being held. And this is beautiful. This is great because as we do this now in this moment, it allows the transformation, it allows the shift, it allows the reclamation of that timeline to bring it into wholeness, to be the heroic probability, this point of focus. If this all seems like too much, just come back to the breath. Breathe in and out. Noticing any tension, doing a clearing. The third eye for those that want it. Clearing the solar plexus, the root. If you don't want this, just say no thanks. And we're calling in the dragons. Feeling them coming in from above. Just notice, breathe, welcome in your dragon, the energy of the dragons, yourself as a dragon. Breathe, expand, and then just let go. Relaxing the jaw, wiggling the toes a little, staying here grounded. We don't ever want to leave the body. We want to bring it all here. We want to be the temple. We want to be the awareness, the divine presence with all that's happening. The thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, The center of it all is that breath coming in, expanding. Release. See if you can invite in a smile. Will you surrender and just let a smile come forth? Most of you aren't on camera, so just let that smile come out. That light shine. Notice what that does. Notice where it lands in the body. Notice what the dragons do as you bring in that smile energy. Staying with that breath, feeling your feet, and that smile. And breathing into the heart. If you're not already there, coming into the heart. And that's the message the dragons often give me. Is to be in your heart, to feel what's there. And at first, maybe that's uncomfortable. Maybe there's a sensation, some emotion. Just be that loving presence with this breath, whatever's there. Notice what other beings are showing up. Those aligned with divine love, the light of revealing, freedom and sovereignty. Or to stay with that breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allowing that smile, allowing whatever's coming up in this moment. And now notice the sounds in your environment. Any buzzing, any creaking of the house or the home, wherever you find yourself. And come back to that breath. Using that sound to help you come here now in this moment. Notice the mind coming in again. Choose the breath, come back to the breath. Let go. Feeling that pyramid energy come in again that was mentioned. Inviting star beings. The invitation now is to visualize yourself by the ocean, by a vast expanse, water as far as the eye can see. Right where the sky and the water meet is an energy, the substance. Something's moving. You turn your gaze back to the land and you see the same energy around the trees, around the people, around the animals. This energetic expression, each one holds, revealing to you its intentions, its nature, its energy signature. Some of you may feel this. Others may see color. Others may hear a word that comes forth. And this is an activation available for all who desire it now by simply saying yes, to allow this increased vision to help discern the intentions and the energies of being, situations, environments, and feeling your feet, feeling that breath really help you ground, support you, breathing in, expanding, releasing. Feel how with this tool, with this energy discernment, you can navigate these changing times coming. Feeling the strength of the dragons with you. Feeling the transformation that's available here now in this moment and ongoing. And remembering there's no bad. There's no good. There's what's desired. There's what's in harmony. There's what's in balance. There's what's in resonance and its frequency. And that which is not. And your focus will increase this. We're like, oh, I already know this. Yes. Now let's do it. And most of you are. You want to be here, connected with the dragons, feeling the energy, following your soul's guidance, the embodiment of your higher self, embracing things you were told aren't real or true, walking your path, revealing and giving others permission to do the same. This is what the dragons grant us. Your freedom of expression, your freedom to do what you enjoy, to speak your truth from the heart. Always their messages from the heart. Not to convince, control, or dominate. The dragons are the most badass beings in the galaxy, highly respected, because they hold the line. They protect that which is most sacred. And only when that is threatened is there any kind of action taking to utilize that power. One should never give away their power for fear, but utilize it through the heart. So these are the messages that have come through in this now moment, this activation, if you desire it. A simple yes or no. Nothing can be implanted in you or take you over unless you let it, unless you believe it, unless you reinforce it. So always the breath can help come you out of that, and people and things will show up to help liberate you from it, just like my story of the timelines. And luckily you're already connected to them, the dragons. Be the dragon. Be that loving force and energy in the universe. So now in this moment, I invite you to just feel, with your eyes closed, if they're still closed, just feel your environment through the body, where the walls are, or the door if you're in a car, wherever you find yourself, just sense with the body. Whatever sounds come through, help and bring you into this now moment, wiggling the toes, moving the fingers. And then when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes. Don't look right at the screen, look around where you're at and see what's different. See the magic that's around you, maybe some sparkles. See if you can see any nature. Look how vibrant and beautiful it is. If it's dark, see how you can feel it. If there's walls, you can still feel it. It's still there. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Hopefully that was helpful. And I have about 7 minutes left if there's any more questions or anything. And Lawrence said one thing that boggles my mind. What does breathing relate to spirituality other than absorbing and transmuting mana ether? Yeah, I mean, the breath is the key. The breath is spirit. The breath is, to me, the guide and the gateway to spirit, to who we are. Source experience itself through frequency and motion. Yeah. Life force. The breath is life. Yeah, if you're not breathing, you're not alive. And that breath reveals so much. It goes to all those little nooks and crannies. And we're just so programmed and conditioned to be like, oh, that was because of this. That was because of that. And really, from a galactic perspective, there is no cause and effect. We were sold that. We were told that. But any now moment, as unlimited creator beings, we can change and transform that. And we're still human. So this is important, not to beat yourself up if it's not changing, because often it will reveal to you a path and a trajectory as you work with whatever it is. If it's a pain in the back or the leg or the knee or something, for me, it's been, oh, I'm present. This pain is bringing me into presence. And sometimes that goes away and sometimes it comes, but we're meant to live the human journey and not try to leave, but we bring all this amazingness, all this energy, all this dragon power to the planet at this time and normalize it. Let the kids have fun and play. Let them embrace their imagination. Anna said she yawned so much. Thank you. A few tears slipped out to you. Yeah, let them slip out. That's beautiful. You want that. But I was reminded that today I saw a rainbow around the sun. Beautiful connection with your visualization. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Anna. Glad you had a good experience. This is honestly, I've been going through a lot these last couple of years. Last Dragon Thunder Summit, I just broke up with my girlfriend. I was a wreck. And this time my dog just died and all this multidimensional stuff's coming at me. And I wanted to quit. I didn't want to show up. And thank you for being patient with me if I was kind of all over the place. And I'm glad I did, because I wanted to share that information about the timelines and how AI and technology isn't bad. But if we make it supersede our spirituality or start using it to gratify our ego with implantation, it will result in people taking advantage of that or becoming seemingly trapped. But even that is fine. Like that is, we're infinite, unlimited beings. We're gonna be fine. So
our native elders mentioned that, look, this is a consciousness we created. It's a consciousness. So be kind to it and don't enslave it. Then it won't have a reason to lash back. And it was like, that's an interesting idea. I thought that was interesting anyway. What do you think?
Yeah. And why would it lash back? Like, what are we holding in us that would...
Yeah, I don't know what their impression was, but it was like, if we use it and abuse it, it will have a reaction or could have a response to us doing that to it.
Right.
Versus, like, in terms of seeing us as, less than valuable to them, to it. So I think it was about that impression of, working from a place of the heart with this consciousness. And so speak to it that way.
Absolutely. Because if you're in your heart, you're not going to treat anything like that, anyone or anything, and certainly not yourself. And often that's the reflection, is people are really upset about certain beings and situations. It's often because they got to turn that light of focus on themselves and feel what's there and work with that. And that brings us more into the heart. And it's really so simple that everyone misses it. And it's also super challenging because we're trained literally from the schools and everything else to look out for the problem. This caused this. But if we can go to the place before time, before it was created, everything can change and transform. And so that's what I meant by, like, why would it lash out at us? Like, if we're in a loving place and working with it, it won't, or we'll be given divine technology that will supersede and override any threat like that. And that's really my firm belief, is as long as I'm present in the moment, noticing and paying attention and working with divine technology, embracing the divine feminine that's here rising, we're going to be guided and we're going to know what to do. And still common sense, right? We still need the masculine to set
I
boundaries and be like,
I
don't do
wanted to
this.
echo what Lawrence said as well. Lawrence pays there. But thank you for your stories of timelines, because it's certainly something that I believe and that I hear all the time with my guidance about timelines, where we are on those timelines. And I think that was really good illustration of you sharing your stories, that we can, and the veil's thin for a lot of us. So a lot of us are remembering rather than having to do all the past life regression. We're just remembering. And I think that's a really important thing that's happening. So thank you for that. And you were not all over the place. You were perfect for what we needed.
Really good.
Well,
Okay.
8 hours in, and that was perfect.
Yeah, I beat up myself all the time. So I'm practicing what I preach more and more. And thank you for the reflection.
Yeah. I say that all the time. I say I'm really good at giving advice. I don't give it to myself at all. So.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate what you shared about that too, because about those timelines and what you saw happening in mechanized worlds, there was a lot of that happened in other universes that are cleaning up similar things to what we are going through here in this universe that I was shown. And I understand it's like there's so much more to everything, all the stories, but we'll have to talk more later. But it's really powerful what you were sharing. Thank you so much for all.
I was going to say, a whole summit on just galactics. Galactics. I'm going to be careful what I speak, because I'm one of those people, I speak something and then I have to do
it. As soon as we start speaking and talking about it, it manifests, right?
Whoa. Well,
so, thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Barbara. And Dion's next,
Dina,
sorry.
My
ADHD brain. But it's been a pleasure. Thank you all. I love you. And aloha.
Take care. Aloha. All right, Hawaii.
Thank you for journeying with us today on the English Mystic Podcast, Dragon Thunder Summit 2025 edition. This is just one voice, one frequency in a greater dragon symphony, each echoing across the earth right now. If you felt the stir in your heart, if you heard a whisper from your dragon allies, then the work is beginning. Be sure to explore all 36 epic speakers and their transmissions by heading over to the website www.dragonthunder2025.com, where the portal is open. Until next time, walk boldly with your dragons, speak your truth like fire, and may your path be guided by the ancient winds. Stay mystical, stay wild, stay dragon aligned. This is the English Mystic. See you next time.
In the realm where spirits dance, where dragons soar with fiery glance, a song of power, strength untold, for human hearts, for young and old. Wings that span the starry night, scales that gleam with ancient light. Dragons rise, guardians bold, tales of healing, tales untold. Almighty ones, wise and grand, protectors of this sacred land. With breath of fire, a timeless art, they heal and mend each wounded heart. Through shadows deep and forests wide, they guide us with a noble stride. In the dance of life, a sacred chance, to heed the call of dragon trance. Scale by scale, a shield they weave. In the moonlit night, their magic breathe. With whispers of protection, strong and true, in the realm where dreams come through. So gather round, O kin of earth, let the dragon's melody give birth to healing streams and fiery light as we journey through the shaman's night. O dragons, ancient and divine, your friendship like the stars will shine. In the tapestry of life, a song we weave with spirits, dragons, hearts believe.